welcome back to the rationalinvestor.com Broiler Chicken Show. Trade your trading plans, don't take too much risk on any one trade, and just let yourself get rich. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Broiler Chicken Show. And I thought that I was so impressed. I guess it was Thursday. I took Thursday off because I was feeling a bit burnt out there. But I came back and somebody had posted on the site, which I thought was so cool. Look at this funny chicken. That's a badass chicken. I probably don't want to mess with him. But anyway, me after 3 years of broiler chicken shows. And really what I hope is, we've had actually a number of people in the past say, look at, I was told to come and listen to you. I got a notebook out, everybody. I don't know whether we still have the merch store up and running. I know there was a bit of a problem with it, but we have these really cool pads. I don't know whether you can see that or not. There's my camera. Where's the camera? There it is. All right. Look at that. Isn't that so cool? And of course, I feverishly take notes on a daily basis, both in physical form with a pen and paper, still remind myself how to write. And also and actually I do this on a daily basis with the community. I show you my trading journal. In fact, is this my trading journal? Yeah, right here. So actually we had a fun meeting looking at altcoins yesterday. Actually, it was like a 4 or 5 hour meeting. So it's remarkable how long those meetings last. But with regard to futures trading, I think every single day you got to be in there journaling, writing what you see, writing what you're learning, obviously getting in touch with how you feel. Then, of course, this is journaling on top of doing all your logging. And, you should have like a regular routine. You should try and follow the routine religiously, including keeping track of, how your sleep is doing, how your diet and exercise, how your computer equipment and all that. And of course, relevant news, and then, chart patterns and the whole thing. In fact, when I get home from Liam tonight, I'll go through and do all my daily chart analysis and stuff, because that's what I have to do on Sundays. Then get ready for another exciting week in the market. And actually I started off the week, Great Guns had just a fantastic trade right out of the gate on Monday. I took 25 ticks from the market, felt pretty good about that. And then I had like a total brain fart on Wednesday, which put me into a really horrible state of mind. And like I said, I had to sort of take a step back, cool my jets. Actually had to get some sleep. And make a commitment to no more revenge trading. In fact, and I think this is a really good testament. Sad part about trading is you go through hot streaks, you go through cold streaks, and then, if you actually take a pause from actually trading live accounts and stuff, when you do come back to it, you find that, oh, geez, actually, I'm a little bit rusty. So you can see how I'm feverishly tracking all of my mistakes, seeing where it is that I'm screwing up, trying to get rid of, and acting like a professional in the market. It's not an easy job. In fact, actually, we had one gentleman, Ed, who actually I think he just got funded with Top Step. Very proud of him. At least passed their sort of tryout program. And he always posts, this is the hardest way to make the easiest money, or I can't remember how that expression goes. Yeah, anyway, you get the idea. It's not an easy vocation, this day trading stuff. But nonetheless, I made a commitment that I was going to get past their combine. Still, the account is still technically profitable. I think I'm up a couple $100 or something like that, but just slow and steady wins the race. So if nothing else, just use this opportunity to learn. And I think I started us off by saying that one gentleman years ago, he didn't know anything, but he was incredibly motivated and a very intelligent person. And he basically just literally sat down, watched as many of these shows as he possibly could, and took notes feverishly, and he actually even said he created basically like a whole user's manual on how to trade the markets based on these free broadcasts. So if you can do that, I would highly encourage you to do that. I think it's this is valuable information. Call this Brian's way of giving back. There you go. Paul says the hardest way to make easy money. So anyway, what I would suggest you do is, and if you are watching this and learning and you're like, hey, there is this guy on YouTube that does all these free shows week after week after week after week, just keeps spitting them out. It's not a bad way for you to learn. You can actually go to our YouTube channel, and man, there is so much free content. We might even be shooting ourselves in the foot a little bit with giving away all this free content. Now, Chris has actually created these little clips that are just like little snippets of ideas. So you don't have to sit for like 2-3 hours listening to Brian rant endlessly, which I think is totally awesome. So much great information on this channel. And you can see here's our weekly Broiler Chicken Show. We also did a free, actually, it was really cool. I had a guy who I actually started doing this show with back a couple of years ago, Derek. And I often see this happen at TRI. I mean, trading is kind of an interesting vocation. Life sometimes gets in the way, which kind of sucks. But anyway, it was great to see Derek back on the site, and he was actually at the Alt Club Altcoin, our little old lady meeting yesterday. We had, I think it was like 4-hour meeting. It had to actually be broken into 2 videos because I forgot that we actually use the channel to record class videos. The level 4 instructor, he does his class on Saturdays. And he's kind of like, I need the channel. What are you doing? So I had to jump over to my own private YouTube channel for that little old lady meeting. But it was totally awesome. And if anything, this is so perfect. I saw this earlier, and we even made reference it in the newsletter here. And this is sort of my contribution. Chris does a really, really great job just sort of summarizing. But then I come along here and I'm like, well, we really need to add a sentence or two about this. But like what I'm finding is this sentiment within, and if you're a crypto person, I've seen this like 4 cycles in a row. Keep in mind, I've been playing this silly crypto game since first cryptocurrency I bought was in 2013, I guess. And it's like a pendulum. It just swings back and forth to, oh, Bitcoin's the best, altcoins suck, and then no, altcoins are awesome. Bitcoin's kind of old man, in your wheelchair. Oh gosh, these. So we're in the part of the cycle where the Bitcoin maxis are all the rage right now. I thought it was interesting, like I said, and we have such a vibrant community, the TRI Members Lounge. I love this Members Lounge. We got great OGs that are constantly contributing. Good old Johnny Chicken in there. And our level 1 instructor kicking butt in the level 1 class. Grim is so awesome. Swear, I've said this before. I'll say it again. The one thing I absolutely needed after my wife passed was to be surrounded by really good human beings. And I have been so fucking lucky over the past 12 years to have these people all surround me and just sort of, this guy here, Eddie, he actually sort of our quarterback for the little old lady club yesterday. And it's such a privilege just coming in and hanging out with these people. They're just such good people. And I just, a big thank you to you TRIers. You people are probably the people that have kept me alive, I have to say. I'm so proud of all you. And once you get to the point where you have enough money to pay the bills and that kind of stuff, money isn't really that big of a deal. You've heard me. I would like to buy Liam a house so he can get out of the silly government programs and stuff, government funded housing and stuff for special needs people. Um, and then there's always this soap opera of buying a house in Vancouver, which is just absolutely stupidity. So, I mean, I have those troubles and trials and tribulations to deal with. But on balance, if I was just living for myself, I wouldn't have a concern at all. So it's not money that motivates me with doing all of this. It's the fact that I actually get to surround myself with all you just awesome, awesome people, and I sure hope to God I'm making a positive difference in you people's lives. And this is a community. It is kind of cool that whenever I go over to the YouTube page, and I do these free videos with you guys, I'll just check in and I see a bunch of positive comments, and even people that have been site members in the past have gone out and started their own advisory services and stuff. Um, um, it's good to see that it looks like we're making a positive difference in this world. So anyway, it's going to have to be a bit of a shorter show today. Sorry, folks. As I posted in the chat before getting this show going, I had lost my wallet. And what's so funny is there was a worker person that came in to do work in this condo. I don't know why you call it that. Anyway, over in the other part of the apartment. I'm in the office here. And it was while I was doing the broadcast on Friday. And I went and I actually took my wallet and I went and hid it because I was like, well, you just leave your wallet out. You're just asking for sticky fingers to help themselves to your stuff when I wasn't around, supervising and working away. And I go to, I'm the type of person, I'm like ridiculously well organized and stuff. And so, I leave for Liam after I do these broadcasts. So, about 2 or 3 hours before all this, I get everything in place, my wallet, my keys, cell phone, shoes, fresh pair of underwear, just in case I crap my pants here while doing this video. And I couldn't remember where I put my wallet. So a bit of a doofus, but anyway, life gets in the way sometimes. So anyway, here we are. It's going to be a bit of a shorter broadcast, maybe about an hour and a half. Once this clock turns 1 o'clock, I gotta hit the road. What my number one job is in this world, and I sure hope to God's spirit is happy. Please, Jojo, Spirit, Joe B, think about you almost every day, Joby. James Cole, such a sweetheart. All these people passed away since I've been doing this. I'm sure there are a lot of other people that have passed, but those 3 J's, they always stick out to me. Anyway, I hope you guys are all proud on the other side of the job I'm doing here with these good people, trying to make a positive difference in the world. And of course, trying to make a positive difference in Liam's life. So with that said, where are we going to begin the adventure today? We do put out this cute little newsletter, and actually I'm immensely thankful. Chris is but I love working about Chris, and I obviously don't want to make him feel uncomfortable here, but he is a consummate professional. So he's always showing up, and maybe it's a function of the fact that we happen to share the same birthday. But like I told you earlier, I'm obsessive about having everything in the right place and the right time and stuff. And if something's out of place, I get all frazzled and stuff. So it's great to see he's so consistent. And every Sunday morning, he's like, "All right, Brian, join when you're ready." And I'm already working away on the newsletter. And I think this is a great little package that sort of summarizes, number one, what's sort of been happening in the market the past week or so, whether it be things like Econs, whether it be things like the Bitcoin price analysis, which I think I've done a pretty good job. Just analyze the weekly, daily, and 4-hour charts to give you guys some levels to work with through the coming week. And also to sort of identify, are we in a trading range? Are we trending? Are we coming into resistance? Are there obvious technical objectives that maybe we should be paying attention to? That kind of thing. As well, too, on the Twitter feed, of course, spitting out tons of content, both. And I would strongly suggest that you follow both. You got Brian. This is my own personal Twitter feed, although I suppose we're probably not going to be allowed to call it that much longer. And frankly speaking, I don't even know if I'm even going to be here that much longer because the way Alan's doing this, he probably is going to force everybody to become like a paid subscriber, or you get fucking, spammed into the ground or something. So, but I'm salty, right? And just understand that I'm not really the most, how do we say this? I'm not politically correct at all. Like if you're watching this for the first time, I do not subscribe to political correctness. I don't like it. And if something doesn't sit well with me, I'm just going to say it. And sometimes I get myself into a lot of trouble. But if anything, just got to be who I am. I don't like. Let's do a poll. Let's interact with the audience. We got 20, 30 people watching this. I mean, what's Brian's thoughts about any and all politicians? And I don't really care if they're on the right or the left. How can we tell when they're lying to us? Which means that by definition, they're always lying to us. Hey, that's a fun world to live in. I mean, that's a really good example of how I'm just very unpolitically correct. But the sad part about it is it's actually pretty damn true. And actually, it's interesting. Hey, there you go. Adam got it. So, I mean, it just is what it is. So, if you want a bit of a salty edge to market analysis, follow me. And of course, anytime I'm banging out big wins and stuff in the market, I'm barking. But I also do like to, I thought this was really interesting. Woody Harrelson, he totally made fun of the United States. And, this is a great commentary on the hypocrisy of our society. I mean, you could argue that what the Russians are doing in Ukraine is exactly the same as what the Americans did in Iraq. I mean, there's not really any difference. The only real difference is, I think, sadly, is that the Russian military equipment sucks. But the irony of it all is, I used to. I'm a really big fan of military sims. I used to be a big fan of this one simulation program called Harpoon. Sorry, everyone. And we would do plenty of scenarios of sort of, and it's fascinating how at the end of the 1990s, all those games and stuff, those simulations, they all sort of disappeared. And I think that's because the 1% was getting us ready for actual real murdering. No more simulations. It's time to get serious. The blood has got to start flowing. And really, you could make the argument the theme over the past 20, 30 years is basically murder. You can wrap yourself in the flag. Hate to, this is totally a typical sort of politically incorrect statement. But I think the Americans are just as guilty as any Russian in Ukraine over what they did in Iraq. So it's same thing, same shit, different pile. So anyway, I don't like any of it. I don't like murder. Why are we murdering each other? Oh, I know, because there's a certain portion of our population that thinks that they're better than everybody else and they can do whatever they want. I'm not really a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of sort of equal rights. I don't really care who you are. Let's just let the market decide whether you're smart or not. And if you can't manage your behavior, if you can't manage your risk, if you can't manage what you're doing, the market's going to take your money away from you very quickly. And sadly, I think what ends up happening in our society is that a lot of people don't want to put the time and effort into learning how to do this correctly. So they end up going and losing tons and tons of money. And then fingers get pointed, blame game, and all that kind of stuff. And it just turns into an absolute shit show. And of course, the bullets start flying. So this is another great testament that I hope that all this free content resonates in the world, and maybe 100 years from now, people are thinking of me as and all this free content that we're putting out here as, Jesus, if we only just listen to this guy and just build a plan, follow your plan, take appropriate risk, try and trade with multiple reasons to justify your actions, right? And identify your entry, your take profit, your exit points before you ever put the trade on. And you keep yourself out of a lot of trouble. Anyway, so I hate to say it, but I do think that to a certain degree, the sort of the bankster class, they do understand how this game works, but I actually think that they are basically intentionally lying to the public. And it's almost, like one way that I think you notice, and I don't know whether it's a function of them lying or whether it's a function of just being really stressed out. But have you ever noticed any of these banksters when they go in, and even politicians for that matter, like Obama, when he went into office, looked like a relatively young man. He comes out and he looks like a fucking old, like, senior citizen. I mean, completely white. And you see what's happened to Jerry and Granny. I mean, they look like they're ghosts. So anyway, point of the matter here is this past week, I think, was dominated by economic data that is showing indeed that the economy is kind of slowing down. I think the consumers are really feeling it hard. So not only do they get hit by the inflation pressure, but they're also worried now about their jobs and whether they can even make the mortgage payments and stuff, and whether they'll even have a job by the end of the year, kind of idea. And then to add insult to injury, and I think this is what the sort of the 1% needs is, for God's sakes, don't let those workers actually feel as though they can have their salaries and their wages increased to offset the in price inflation that they're seeing in their lives. And there was one politician recently that actually said, if you are going to strike, then we're going to fire you. And it's like, and how ironic. I mean, these politicians theoretically are supposed to be representatives of the people. And the only people that are winning in this whole scenario is the 1%. That's the only people. In fact, actually, a really interesting newsletter that I got in my email today. What is it called? The Equidia letter. Actually, isn't that interesting? It's even published here in Vancouver. I didn't even realize that. He does a pretty good summary, although you Bitcoiners are not going to like this. I don't necessarily think that the Bitcoin ETFs are actually a good thing for Bitcoin itself. Obviously, it's going to be a huge money grab for guys like gentleman's name rhymes with Dink. We won't use real names here, so then that way it protects the innocent. So from now on, we'll just call him guy whose name rhymes with Dink. I think those people are going to make out like bandits, but there is a potential that if these ETFs get big enough, they might actually even be able to get big enough to influence the blockchain, which is a little bit scary. Anyway, so this person puts out a little newsletter here. And actually just step by step, and it's everything that we've sort of talked to you guys about. Why do we have the hyperinflation that we're living in? Because the banksters have gone and printed money to save their asses because they went and lent money really stupidly, or maybe on purpose. Great Reset, Klaus, and all that crap. And Milton Friedman 101. You print money irresponsibly and don't grow the economy appropriately, well, you're going to cause price inflation. It's just going to be more dollars chasing fewer goods. And as a result, they have no choice. Somebody has like $50 in their pocket and they really need something. Well, they'll bid the price up, even if the price was like $10 before. If there's another guy beside them that also has $50 in his pocket, and he really needs the same thing. You get into a bidding war and up go prices, a la inflation. What's really interesting is where is all this money printing going? And ironically enough, actually, now what it's going to be is most of the government revenues and these deficits and stuff, they're going to be doing nothing more than just servicing the debt, just paying the interest on the debt. So the bankster class, Rothschilds, all those assholes, they've won. We are all now ultimate. And, they've even bypassed the consumer. They don't give a fuck about Joe Sixpack anymore. They're going right for the jugular. They control our governments. And actually, this is pretty shocking. Look at this graphic right here. So guess which part of this pie 99% of the population is. This is Q1 2022. 99% of the population is this little orange sliver of the pie. Isn't that awful? Like the top 10% of our economy is all of these guys, where all this money printing is going. And we get to the point now, so they have these fun graphics here. It's just brutal where all the money is going in our society right now. But anyway, these guys were kind of fun newsletter. I can't remember. There was a specific thing that I wanted to mention with regard to that newsletter that they were talking about. I think it was that most of the money that they're printing here is just going straight into the 1%'s hands, which is kind of tragic. But anyway, so Fed speakers, they're basically the entire message over this past week was kind of this higher for longer statement. And it sort of hit a crescendo there on Thursday. And it was actually interesting because Friday was a very large options expiry day down in the States, triple witching. And usually Wall Street likes to keep prices above the heaviest open interest levels for things like the ETFs, like S&P 500 spiders. And they couldn't even keep the market up into the close. Into that event. So Wall Street is now, I think, if we look at the daily futures chart, Wall Street, they wanted desperately to keep this thing above 420. So they did that. Actually, probably be better to look at the where should we do this? That's crypto, more crypto. I think actually, yeah, this is stocks. So we should probably have this as our stock list. So where are we here? Stocks. There we go. And then if I go SPY, we'll get a chart with a bazillion option sheets all over it. But anyway. All right, so I don't know whether this is the most recent data point, but in our conversation on Friday for the site, we had talked about how the heaviest open interest was in the 420 puts. So it's interesting, and that was to the tune like 180,000 contracts, just an absolutely insane number. The next one, and I thought that they were going to try and get this thing to go out above 425. So, and that was about 50, 60,000 contracts. I think maybe 70, 80. So Wall Street's going to be forced to buy a bunch of stock down here. It'll be interesting to see what they do with this week, because what's the definition of a bear market? Usually it's just something as simple as lower highs and lower lows. So if we just do something as simple as, actually maybe just do this, right? So lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Ooh, what are we going to do here? So my hunch is they are going to take that out because Wall Street's going to have a whole bunch of stock. These options all expired in the money. So they're going to be forced to exercise those options, which means they have to buy the stock at 425. And my hunch is they're going to want to liquidate that. They don't really want to take any risk owning that stuff. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit more downside pressure here in the market. It's interesting how we are coming up against the 200 SMA here. But, I might even argue if you're looking for downside objectives on the stock market, probably things like Foggenbaum's off of this very wide double top, boom, 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 2.618. You can see all the gaps down in here. So it wouldn't surprise me that they have to come down and fill all this in. And of course, we're into eclipse season. So and do yourself a favor if you do like participating in the market. Just go back over history and just see what markets do. Hint, hint, hint into that March insanity back in 2020. That was an eclipse market. So there is the eclipse window. And then, interestingly enough, surprise, surprise, there's actually a Fed meeting right on the other side. So once we get out of the eclipse window, if they do puke this thing out down into these lows, you're probably going to hear the media and the public all screaming crash and, oh, save us. And, oh, this is all Chair Powell's fault for having interest rates so high, and throw us a bone. And if this thing pukes out hard, the irony of it all is that all they're doing, oh, geez, you can see all my silly little option sheets. All they're doing is just technical retracement. I mean, this is just so business as usual. It's ridiculous. Just technical analysis 101. And I'd just be curious. Let's see. And this will be a good quiz for you, all you people on YouTube. If you ever do look at a chart and you're like, okay, so what's the very first thing that I should do? Always, 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 just to give you an indication of whether the market is overbought or oversold on a weekly basis. And this is actually this is a full year, right? There's last October. Oh, what a surprise! Market's dump in October. Imagine that. So I'd be curious. Let's see if any of you people on the YouTube page, maybe any of you. Well, there's only 2 or 3 people here in the Hangout. What should you always just throw on your chart as just knee jerk? Hint, 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 52-week range. Willie is my go-to. Okay, well, Willie's a great indicator for overbought, oversold. And that's a great indicator for when is the public going to be coming in and doing the exact wrong thing. So you're right there, Matador. Absolutely. Nick got it here in the Hangout. Let's see if anybody over there on well, even before that, Luke, I mean, good thinking. If anything, that shows that you are listening to me. But even before that, keep it simple, stupid. Don't overthink this. And I gave you the answer, 52-week range, right? And I'll give you another answer. Initials are WDG. That should make it pretty easy. CM Langura Pro Indicator. Oh my, there's a mouthful. No idea what the hell that means. Thank you, the Matador. I think you're the only one listening to me here today. The 50% rule. I mean, keep it simple, stupid. Don't overthink this stuff. So what's sort of fair value? What do you think the odds are that 50% of this 52-week range is going to be right around that 2.618 and right in all those gaps? And oh, by the way, can somebody tell me what's the statistical probability that these gaps get filled in? Where's our Satoshi Nakamoto guy? He loves answering that question. Remember, when you watch this video, you're supposed to have your journals out and be learning, right? I don't do this just for the good of my health. I do this because I think Spirit actually asked me to do this, and I want you people to learn. That's what you're here to do. So there's all those gaps that I had made reference to earlier. They need filling in. There's good old Foggenbaum off of the M top. And now let's throw on our 50% rule. That's what this was. Let's see where this thing comes out at. Survey says, boosh. Hey, look at that. Right up against those lows. So, the irony of all this is they're probably just going to dump this market into these levels. This dump will be late. I mean, we are in the eclipse season. And if you want a fun exercise, come on TRI We catalog. Chris, are we cataloging all the previous daily brief videos? Like if somebody came in and did a search on the site for Cole's celestial thing, would if they just typed in like eclipse, would they be able to pull up videos with that word search? I don't know whether. Yeah, we probably need to get sort of more serious about this because I've been sort of slacking on this lately. Sorry, everyone. But on this site, we have this awesome video library. And what we should be able to do is like somebody who just comes on the site, just go Eclipse and up comes Cole. Oh, geez, man, that's not good. So, yeah, we got to do some more work on this. Well, so we had the thing going here, so. But especially with the Friday, whoever the Friday person is. Now Cole happens to be, I guess that's last weekend. Cole happens to be sort of our celestial guru of late. He's totally awesome with this stuff. I just don't know where it would be. I mean, I guess if you do want to come on the site, I guess you can just maybe. All right. Daily brief after party 10:13. Yeah, so I think that's what it was. So if you want a great conversation with our site OGs, I mean, look at that. He's a big fan of WD Gann. So you can see his Gann charts on the presentation, but just absolutely just awesome stuff. So anyway, here I think is his celestial planetary. So actually, this is an interesting conversation unto itself, but I won't get into that. Come on over to the site if you're not a site member. You can even do the 30-day trial just to watch these, see if there's any value in any of this before you actually decide to sign up. So point here is we are coming into a very, very significant window in here. And I have a feeling that what they're going to do is they're going to dump the market into technical levels. They're going to scream bloody murder, crash, save us, right? All that kind of nonsense. And it'll be interesting to see because the FOMC meeting is just on the other side of this event. Interesting to see whether they actually can, like literally the traders, the rhymes with dink people, whether they can force the Fed's hand here. It'll be interesting to see. Having said that, this is another great little piece. Take a screenshot of this if you've never seen this before. Maybe write this down if you've never seen it. I mean, I've been doing this silly game for like 30 years and it's so time tested. What are we supposed to think if you ever see the market smiling at you? You know, I think that's probably a pretty good anecdote that everybody should take a screenshot of that and file that away in your subconscious if you ever see the market smiling at you. And especially if you ever get a situation where you get a smile within a smile, oh my goodness, that is just the shit. So it really shouldn't have surprised us that this market's coming off here. Okay, so point of the matter here is the Feds were speaking through the week and they weren't very market friendly. If anything, this is a really good analogy. Don't fight the Fed. Although I don't know. Yeah, here it is. And the general tone out of all these guys is sort of like, well, the inflation's still too high, higher for longer. If we still see inflationary pressure, and I did notice that things like retail sales still coming in pretty hot, you can see, and this, of course, fucking substitute drama teacher land, it's stupidity. But US retail sales came in 7/10. Well, if you annualize that, that's a pretty big number. I mean, the market was looking for that 3/10. If you annualize that, that would be like, roughly 3-4%. 7/10. Oh, Jesus. You annualize that. And keep in mind, last print was 8/10. So this retail sales number is coming in like literally almost 3 times hotter than it's supposed to be. There's no way in hell the Fed can lower interest rates in the face of that. Do find it interesting that Canadian inflation is calming down here a bit. That's good. But we're still like double the number that they say that they want inflation at. So can they lower interest rates anytime soon? I don't think so. Having said that, if there's going to be a place in the world economy that breaks, it's going to definitely be countries like China. It's not going to be in the United States. The United States is actually set up really, really well. Structurally, competitively, demographically now. And ironically enough, all of these immigrants coming in from the southern border is solving a lot of the demographic problem with all the workers or shortage of workers as the baby boomers all retire. The fabric of our societies, you can clearly see it changing. United States, North America is no longer a Caucasian driven society, in my opinion. You can and especially in country like China, it is blatantly obvious that the the banksters, they don't give a fuck what color your skin is. They don't care what language you speak. They don't care what ideology you have. The only thing they care about is you better make that fucking mortgage payment. And if not, then you are in big trouble. And I wouldn't even be surprised if we start actually hearing the advent of debtors' prisons and stuff start to come out, to highly encourage you not to even consider for a moment defaulting on those debts. You are a debt slave. You are a slave. Get used to it. And we don't give a shit what color your skin is. We don't give a shit what language you speak. A slave is a slave is a slave. Well, anyway, there's a nice. That's more of that. Brian is a tad bit politically incorrect. He's got purple hair, and he's telling you to watch out for this guy who wants to steal your money in crypto. Okay, moving on. Obviously, with what we're seeing out of the Middle East, tensions have slightly ratcheted up. I don't know whether I really buy the idea that gold is in a new bull market. Of course, anytime you ever talk to a gold bug, they are always going to tell you it's so good. And number one, it's always a good time to buy gold. And of course, it's always in a bull. And I remember keep in mind, I was a broker for years and years and years. And we used to make a joke, even if the price was down $20-$30 an ounce, a gold bug would say, "Hey, that's a buy signal. I got to get in there and buy some." So I don't know. I'm not really. Well, I mean, you know me. Look at the price chart. So yes, I'm not going to make any bones about it. I mean, that's one hell of an up move, but it's off of a V bottom. And then, of course, remember we talked about this earlier. That's some pretty damn big gaps on the price chart there. What are the odds that gold's going to have to go back down and fill in those gaps? I'd say probably pretty damn good. So there's the top way up there at like 2120, yeah, about 2100 on this December gold contract. And we haven't even really broken this most recent market structure top here. We did break this structure top, so I suppose that's a good sign for the bulls. But you've often heard me say, for me to actually be bullish of this chart, what I need to see is I need to see W's coming in on the other sides of these trend lines. So all we're doing is just spiking straight up. But once this sort of inertia has finished, if this really is a bull, then what we have to see is some sort of W or something like that, right? And that will actually set up a trade for me, right? Because that's a nice bull flag, right? Like that. So what I need to see is I need to see some sort of consolidation here. I can't get too excited about that. I mean, it's a hell of a move. Don't get me wrong. And if you're a swing trader, well, we could probably find bullish setups off of things like 4-hour charts. But investment grade, I don't know. And even notice, like, yeah, so this was our sort of this, every single day of the week, I do sort of a summary of, crude for the top step guys, gold, stock market, Bitcoin for this community. And, coming into this week, I had a fun little paper trade there. But coming into this week, what I thought I saw was an inverted head and shoulders here, which gave us an upside objective of about 1975, 1980. Of course, there's good old Brian's big fat fib that he loves so much, 88.6s, blah, blah, blah. So, if I was a swing trader, I would actually say we're probably coming into profit objectives. And of course, what's the odds that maybe this is starting to form divergences? Oh, hello. Look how MACD is actually starting to peter out. And, as Matador said, great overbought, oversold indicator. You could use this as the Willie indicator down at the bottom. So when it's a modification of a Williams percentage R indicator. So when this yellow line is officially in the oversold camp, Willie is stupidly oversold, public is selling, not a good idea. Well, same sort of thing on the other side. When this yellow line goes to the overbought camp, above minus 20, Willie is officially overbought, stupidly bullish. Probably not a good idea to be a buyer into this market state. And then also interesting, actually, it looks like a few sellers are stepping up here and actually selling into this rally. So if you actually get now 1, 2, 3, if we got a green up bar here less than whatever this low is on the gold contract, on the 4-hour contract, that actually tells you that the bulls have fallen asleep, and that's 10,554 contracts. That's a lot of contracts. So for this thing to still remain being a bull, we need to see the buyers still buying in size. And these big panics, that's like 42,000 contracts. This is 35,000 contracts. So they still got to buy in size here. So anyway, let's keep an eye on whether the gold market is sort of running into a bit of exhaustion. And I hate to say it, but that's probably also a very similar conversation as Bitcoin. So if we look at that 4-hour Bitcoin chart, same sort of idea. We did have the market, getting stupidly oversold down at the bottom here. In fact, actually even had a stupidly oversold in the futures just off this little bottom right down in here. This was on the accidental rumor of a Bitcoin ETF by, of course, somebody whose name rhymes with Dink. Was it real? Was it manufactured? I get the impression that it was a real conversation, but they sort of let it slip ahead of the fact, and then had, I think it was Cointelegraph or something like that, had them come out and retract it, just because they want to fuck around with the kids and just see if they can get some weak hands to either FOMO panic buy or, even run some stops and just see if they can, get some free, easy liquidity. Interesting to see through the week, though, that price just keeps grinding its way higher. But notice we just made a new high. And notice, momentum is not moving to a new high. And where are the buyers? There's no buyers here. So this is starting to look a little dangerous. The bearish momentum divergence has not confirmed yet, so we don't have to worry about the break just yet. And Willie is not officially stupidly overbought yet, so we could still play around up here a bit. I don't think this is a quote unquote sell just yet. If anything, what this kind of looks like to me, and probably a better way to look at this is if we go down to things like the 4-hour spot market. This is the bit stamp. What market you use for spot, that's up to you. I've always liked to use stamp, but I think this kind of makes sense where, this was that most recent turn. It's cute little W. Look at this fucking signal, folks. I mean, I've been banging away forever trying to tell you guys, hey, you know what? Build your plans, trade your setups, do everything manually. Then I finally got Sjord to build my 1980s website algorithm that I used to have. In fact, it's fun to show you guys this. And Sjord himself built a crypto top 30 index, which I think is absolutely incredible because it's a dynamic index. So it's kind of like, the way that they built the Dow Jones Industrial Average, where if a name falls out of favor, like at one point, obviously FTX was fairly high in the market cap world of crypto, not so much anymore. Luna, same sort of thing. Celsius, right? The list goes on and on. Every cycle, it's always the same. But the point is that Sjord's built this dynamic index, and I don't think we've actually given this as much sort of marketing and hype as I think it's actually worth. I think that this index actually could very easily be something like a Dow Jones Industrial Average kind of thing uh, in the next 100 years. All we got to do is, as I said, Sjord has actually gone and built the index, and it takes out all of the stable coins, and it's constantly updating with the biggest market cap names. I'm not quite sure exactly what the schedule is of the update, but I think it's fairly regular that the index is updating. And of course, we give you sort of a relative attractiveness of names. Fascinating how Bitcoin down here is actually a 2, because technically speaking, I don't actually think Bitcoin is that attractive. Remember, we did the 50% rule on the S&P 500, and I hate to say it, but the 50% rule on Bitcoin is actually lower than where we are right now, not higher. So I might actually argue Bitcoin's a bit overvalued, but I'm going to try telling that to the Bitcoin maxis. But what's fascinating is, and the way that this index works, I mean, aside from the actual crypto top 30 index, I think we actually should create this index. And I think that we should plot the prices of this index and actually create an index. So, Stuart, if you are watching this down the road, I think this would be an incredible value added product. But we actually give sort of the relative technical score rating based purely on where the asset is relative to its 52-week range. Remember, I told you earlier, WD GAN, don't overthink this stuff. And then also just a pure momentum score. Is a fast moving average above the slow moving average, or is the fast moving average below the slow moving average? And that gives us a relative score. And interestingly enough, a lot of crypto names in this crypto index are sitting in just the absolute best rating you can get is a 6, which is like a quote unquote buy signal. And interestingly enough, if we actually go and look at the broader market, like we watch everything at TRI. So this is this weekly commodity trend survey. So we watch the bonds, commodities, country funds, crypto top 30, currencies, Dow industrials, transports. Notice, buy signals. We don't have any 6s anywhere because nothing's really gone on sale. Nothing's like super cheap, but we actually just got a buy signal in, of all markets, natural gas. So I do find that interesting because usually when the stock market rolls over and when things are looking pretty nasty in the broader economy, natural gas prices start to perk up. So anyway, that's a total side conversation. Maybe we'll have that in the after party tomorrow if people do want to look at that. I think I did a little bit on that last week. But anyway, back to Bitcoin. So if we look at the gold market, I'm a little concerned that the gold is basically just gone straight up. And I think we're actually into some technical resistance level on this futures contract. You can see just this particular range from the highs back there in July. We are basically up, brushing right up against those highs. We could probably also do this study going back right up against the top of the contract there. The highs from, what is that, May, of all times. Sell in May and walk away. And you notice that we're just brushing up now against Mountain Man level. So I mean, just look at this, right? You can see Willie. You can see even RSI. Julian loves his RSI. And anytime you get a nice trend line break in RSI, you better pay attention. So you can see, we've broken that trend line. We're not making higher highs here on the gold price when it comes to RSI. You can see we're not making higher highs on the gold market, and it looks like we're potentially rolling over. And as I said, we're within a whisker of getting an actual volume impetus sell signal on the gold. So is this dead cat bounce in the gold market kind of maybe exhausting itself? Notice that we are coming into mountain man level here. And you know, you go out on social media and you would swear that Bitcoin's about to hit $1 million, which is really scary. I don't like how people just get like uber insanely bullish, and yet literally in my comment on the what time is it? Oh Jesus, this time goes past so quickly. My comment on the weekly write-up here was just this is all we've done is just gone sideways for 32 weeks. I mean, that's a long time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 22, 23, 32 weeks of just being stuck in this range. We haven't really done anything. So, I mean, if you really are a bull, okay, fine, go and close out through the top here. But why are you starting to like paint bearish divergences up here in the reload zone? Well, this is actually supposed to be where institutional guys actually start thinking about shorting, selling against highs, all that kind of talk. So, and last week I had made reference that we had a whole bunch of moving averages that were acting as a major brick wall. So I suppose if you are a bull, we did go and punch through all those. So that's encouraging. But kind of like the gold right now, same thing with Bitcoin. What I really need if this is really a bull, I need some consolidation here. Or I mean, just go and fucking rip the Band-Aid off and just rip this thing up through these highs. Give us a nice big fat close up here. And more importantly, do you see how there's a whole bunch of trap bulls up in this wick right up here? And I think these are the people that actually got caught buying this wide range down here. Keep in mind, this tail went all the way down to here, then came screaming back up. So I'm sure there's a lot of people in this event that were like, all right, buy the fucking dip, right? We're all going to get rich. And they got caught. Tons of trap bulls all in this level right here. And every time they rally the market back up into this window, those guys go, oh, God, thank God, get me the fuck out. Get me the fuck out. Ooh. But notice that the last time that they did that, look at the size of that wick up there. Right? That's what she said. I made that reference twice today. So I hate to say it, but I still think there's a whole bunch of trap bulls right up in this wick here. This is actually what's called a shooting star in candlestick land. And then, of course, candle body highs for trade location. You've heard Beamish squawk about that. And look where we stopped. So, and this is just the weekly price chart. Also, too, hopefully what you see when you look at this is, do you see the symmetry? Notice how off of this low we went up, then down, then up, then down, then up. So you can actually do this almost exact same pattern going the other direction. So we went down and then up and then down and then up and then down and then up, right? Can you see how this looks almost identical to this? Which to me says that this actually looks like a massive fractal, right? The easiest way for you to think about this is Canadian flag. Let's see if I can pronounce or spell. I'm a terrible speller. But doesn't that look a heck of a lot like that? And so this is why actually we use this concept head and shoulders and 3-bar fractal, is this looks a hell of a lot like that. So I'm not saying that this is going to confirm. The only way that you know that actually this has confirmed and that indeed this is a big head and shoulders top is if we roll over and boom, go smashing through this low down here. then you know, yep, that's a fractal top. Put a fork in her, she's done. As it stands right now, and the good part about it for all this sort of Bitcoin enthusiasts, again, technically speaking, I'm not really enthusiastic. I certainly don't want to buy Bitcoins here. If we look at our 52-week range, right, there is last November. So that's our swing low. This is our swing high, 50%. There is Colin and his dump chasers. And there is that 50% rule. Then Mr. Gann would say, for this market to be healthy, we really should trade back to that level. But, markets, Adam Smith, markets can remain illogical far longer than any of us can remain solvent. So hopefully what you see now, though, is, hey, this is kind of looking like maybe a big bull flagpole. So all you bulls, right, what you want to see is there's the flagpole. So I'll make that nice and big. Boom, there's your flagpole. And yeah, do we want to call this a flag? Do we want to call this a pennant? But, higher, low. Do we make something along those lines? Is going to be really, really shallow. It's going to be hard to see that it's high right there to there. But hopefully you can see the flag. And if this is a flag, right, bullish bot, things like that, if I get 3 higher lows, so I've got 1 low, 2 lows, if I get a 3rd low that comes in somewhere in there, and this actually turns into some sort of W, oh boy, Brian is going to start thinking bullish bot setups, which means that we go up. Yeah, right off the screen. Somewhere I would take it off of that lowest low, whatever that low is there. Right, what does that give us as a target? 41,000. And actually, I do kind of like this thinking because you notice, WD GAN, all that kind of stuff. Well, what the hell? I just leave that in there. What's a 50% rule of this entire range? Oh, look at how that's going to work out nicely. So maybe that's what the plan is here. And then it rolls over. I don't know. And this is why I don't think it's a really good idea to get into the business of predicting, because either scenario here could easily play out. Either this turns into a big ass fractal, we fail here in the reload zone, and we have to work our way back down, and then we puke out through these lows, and it turns out that that was the top. Or, like we said, what this really is a narrow sideways channel. If I can get 3 higher lows, then it sets up a bull A, B, C, D, which paints a target up top. My job as a technician and as a trader is just to let these things develop. And then once I've actually got my 3 reasons to justify either taking a long or a short, and I know that when I see those 3 reasons play out over history, I've got pretty good statistical odds of seeing my desired outcome play out. All right, well, then I can justify taking a trade. Right now, based on this chart, this is a big hurry up and do nothing. And like I said, this has been a big hurry up and do nothing for 32 weeks. Why is it all of a sudden next week it's going to change? I don't see the setup yet. Having said that, there are going to be people that are going to be, hey, I predict that this thing's a bull. And if it works out, then all of you in the public are going to think this person walks on water. I mean, that's just the way capitalism works. Yeah, I know. Geez. Anyway, I guess just to sort of finish off this thought, is there any anecdotal evidence that maybe we need to take a bit of a pause on the lower time frames? And like I had said earlier, did these 4-hour charts. This is what I would consider sort of swing traders. Got just the most fucking kick-ass algo buy signal there. I couldn't believe that. And I think the algo is still very bullish. So, you want to see a justification for subscribing to TRI's dashboard, and hint, 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 coming up a Black Friday deal here. We would highly encourage all of you to consider it. You could probably pay for the subscription with one half decent trade. there is that buy signal on the crypto breadth. And you tell me, is that thing anywhere near issuing a sell signal? Not even close. The only reason why I feel comfortable showing you that right now, of course, is because you get it in the newsletter here. So crypto signal, just especially when you get like a little W that comes in there. Oh my goodness, that's ridiculous. So I don't know how long this is going to last. This basically says that the Bulls got the ball, and I don't think it's a good idea to get in front of this. A couple things that jumped out at me in the crypto space that I actually like that I'm hearing. Number one, of course, the SBF trial is going along. And Sam Bankman-Fried sort of defense case is just it's not working at all. So my hunch is he's probably going to get like 100 years in jail. He's going to be convicted on a whole bunch of charges, and they're probably going to all dogpile onto him. The whole reason why this last crypto market failed, the whole reason was because it needs more regulation. You can't have these little teenager kids running around in crappy little tracksuits on national stages, just totally thumbing their nose at everything because they buy off politicians and stuff. So you can see the regulation coming, but the irony of it all is that if you have a good product and you have a good sort of story, that trumps any Trump, how ironic, that trumps any sort of old sort of nefarious. I mean, look at this chart. This is Civic. And if anything, what I wanted to mention was, you've got the SPF stuff coming down the pike and it's doing its thing. But at the same time, too, the SEC under this Gensler guy, he might actually go to jail too, which wouldn't that be poetic justice? And the SEC is literally losing cases against things like Cripple. And actually, it's interesting because Civic, which is the name that I just had on the screen there, it was actually under a lot of scrutiny by the SEC and stuff in day cycles past. And so as a result, look at this chart. I mean, didn't that Beamish guy say something about if you see trend lines being broken in RSI there a few minutes ago? Look at that long trend line in RSI that's been broken. And now we're actually getting W's in this indicator. And now one W, of course, stops the bear slide. And now a second little fast W, that's a buy signal right there. It's not a strong buy signal, but it is a buy signal nonetheless. So it doesn't surprise me. And you can't even see the price of these assets. So actually yesterday we had a lot of fun in our crypto meeting, just going through like what altcoins should we be buying. These are all the names that we reviewed yesterday in our meeting. We met for about 4 or 5 hours. If you are on the site and you want to watch this meeting and we went through all of those, where would we be willing to buy these names? Keep in mind, I already loaded up about 30 or so names to get the little old lady portfolio up and running and going. And we will be publishing this list on the website. I am ready, willing, and able to start going and buying some more. I did, and we had a couple names that I actually think look really, really good in here. This Civic, I would be more than happy to go in and start buying a little bit more of this. The only problem is you can see, can I buy that price there? No, I have to wait for reload zones, blah, 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 blah. Beautiful momentum bottoms, volume coming in, OBV. So you can see, and I do find it fascinating that in the public's eyes, of course, I showed you this earlier, the public right now, the only thing that they're seeing is, and I don't know whether it's on Reddit or what, but this is all I'm seeing. Is buying altcoins really worth it? Is BTC the only true crypto investment choice? Number one, this is venture capital, folks. So you have to understand when you get involved in venture cap, like 80-90% of all venture cap fails. So you have to understand that from the get-go. You also have to understand that venture capital is extremely volatile, up and down like a horse drawers. And just because an asset goes down in price That doesn't mean that it's not investment worthy. Hell, I suppose you could make the argument, even looking at dog money. I mean, if you could make the argument that, oh, gee whiz, what letter of the alphabet do you see there staring you in the face, folks? I mean, it's just staring you there in the face. The irony of it all is that nobody teaches the public to look for this stuff. And you tell me, is that down at the bottom end of the trading range? Could this thing move up? I mean, where are we here? We're 6 cents. Could you see 12 cents on this thing to get you a sell half on a double and get your original money back in your pocket? If this resonates with you at all, could you please hit the like button? I'm trying to do you a favor. I scream and yell at you people in the public. Don't fucking chase. Don't be an idiot buying up here. This is, of course, when he went on Saturday Night Live, and everybody and their brothers like, dog money, yeah. All right. And now, do you hear anybody talking about dog money? And there it is right there. If you think it's a half decent public service message for you, and I'm giving you a level to actually pay attention to, if this thing goes up through this high, that is a confirmed double bottom breakout from 6176. Could you please hit the like button? Maybe consider subscribing, because we give you these ideas down at the bottom end of their ranges. I don't know, seems like a half decent idea to me. Look at that. I mean, don't be surprised if you hear that, hey, Brian's gone and bought some more dog money. We have been talking recently on the public show. Look at that. Nobody hit up the like button. Jeez, I thought I'd get a couple likes out of that. God damn. We did a show recently, and actually this is sort of the updated version of the crypto top 100 show that I was talking about. Derek coming back on the site. He was an original co-host with that. But Joe over there at Coinigy, and I told him, hey, keep an eye on this thing. If we get a weekly breakout here at W, this thing might just take off like a rocket. So, and he's kind of like, he's so new at the game that I don't even think he even understood half of what I just said. But he just goes, okay, well, I'll put an alert on this level. And now he sees that it's like jumped a buck from that level, and he's kind of like, holy crap. what is it that you actually do? How can you predict something like that? I don't think it's a prediction. It's just, following the chalk marks. If anything, there's your awesome little W entry from 6 and change. And I did see somebody, just for clarification purposes, if you say bought this W here and you're going to sell half on a double, okay, that's fine. Then that means you're going to sell some at 13. But just be careful, right? Because I did see somebody say earlier, like, let's say you bought that little double bottom right there, which is really, I think that's in the reload zone. That's probably your buy level. So that was 6.5. So you're going to sell half at 13, which is up in this area here. Okay, that's fine. But where is the next double level from here? And I saw somebody say, all right, well, I'm going to sell half on a double at 12 because they said they bought at 6. And then I'm going to sell another half on a double at 18. That's incorrect. So keep in mind, this is only a 50% move. So the next double after 13 has to be 26 because every time the asset doubles. So what this really means is if you bought at 6 and you're letting some go at 26, then that technically is like you're selling half at a double. All right, well, that's good. That at least gets you in a risk-free trade. But this now becomes, I'm going to sell like a quarter of my position, whatever I've left over, from the original stake, a quarter of it, at, what is that? 2, 4, right? 4x, 400%. So just a clarification, the next double level is not like 18. This doesn't move incrementally every time the asset doubles again. So that means the next sell after this would have to be up at 52. So just a note of a clarification. And frankly speaking, looking at this volume pattern, I wouldn't be surprised if this thing's about ready to rock and roll. So we'll see how high this guy goes. But interesting, this basically has gone sideways for so long. You see where the 50% level is, it's up at 29. So I could definitely see somebody get a double off there at like 12.13 and get another double level. And often when these markets go parabolic, they run into 877s. And then also too, what's the odds that there's some trap bulls up here? Wicks and tails like to be eaten, all that kind of talk. So if we get any kind of rally up top here, yeah, you can see there's a bunch of wicks up in here. You might get some ridiculous blow off top, and I think you run into an absolute brick wall of resistance right up in those wicks there, because all those trap bulls would, desperately like to get out. All right, so I know somebody was asking about what's the skinny with link. Now, I mean, you tell me. Hey, we got 2 likes out of all that. Would Brian endorse the idea of you coming in and buying this asset right here? Thank you, Omar. Somebody got it. Right. Cannot be a buyer here. Can't chase, don't chase, don't chase, can't chase, don't chase. Now, remember the guy that on Coinigy we did this show. If I did buy this breakout level here, way up there, what do I have to be able to risk against? I have to be able to risk seeing this market go down all the way down to these lows here. So you have to understand that I mean, you could buy this weekly W, but you got to have a very large risk tolerance, a la little old ladies, Joe's six pack kind of idea. As a futures trader or a margin trader or a leverage trader, you can't buy that breakout there. You just can't do it. So what I think is going on here, hopefully you can see this, is actually a very pretty little bot setup. So, and I'll probably review this with Joe on Wednesday. And by all means, if you do enjoy this show, be sure to tune in on Wednesdays. I've gotten together with the good people at Coinigy. I would like to try and cultivate that relationship. And actually, they deal with like a really big sort of Wall Street firm called Lightspeed. And if anything, maybe we should pitch that crypto index and the dynamic index that Sjord has created as our sort of benchmark for how crypto, sort of the higher ups in the space look. We should probably pitch that to them. But anyway, the bot setup here, right? You can see straight line move. So that's a A to B, right? And so if we wanted to trade this, we would just simply say, what is a 33% correction? And what is a 66% correction? And have we gone to 33, but not beyond 66? And you can see we made 33, but we did not go beyond 66. Can I get some sort of bullish market structure to help me sneak my way into this trade? I like the idea that there is a nice down trend line to work with there. Can you get any kind of breakout here? I don't think this is off the daily. I think this is more off like a 4-hour. Interesting that trend line didn't show up there. That was weird. Hey, there we go. So if I was quote unquote trading this, because this looks more like a swing trade than anything else. I've got 1 low. I've got 2 lows. I've got 3 lows. Ooh, I got a beautiful little, look at that double bottom right on that trend line. I got a breakout. I've got a pullback. I've got a breakout through this high here. I've got a big W that comes in through there. So where is my 25 level? So my bot trade, I want to break this into thirds. And there it is there. Oh, what a surprise. Look how that's set up so pretty. You could even make the argument that this right here is actually a cup and handle pattern. So there, there. Of course, that's all messed up. So just eyeballing this kind of idea. There is your cup all the way down to the bottom there. And let's see if we can zoom in on this. This is your handle right there. Isn't that a cute little cup and handle? So huge buy signal there. Beautifully set up there off of that 25 level. And look how we just went woohoo straight up into the bot profit objective, and now we're actually potentially emming out here. That's a beautiful example of a trader's life. So I'll probably do this setup. In fact, we should have probably done this on the Coinigy platform, but I'll probably do it again for them on that. And also, too, interesting anecdote of Foggenbaums. So you notice how we ran up to 4.669. We could probably even do a Foggenbaum off of this bottom here. And that's probably 2.618 up there. Oh, yeah, look at that. So anywhere up in this area, probably best to be thinking about some sort of top. And had you traded this, I would actually have hoped to have heard that you rang the register and took some profits. So that's what I think is going on with the link right now. And from an investor's perspective, I don't mind if you're like, okay, well, Brian, I buy these big weekly W's. That means I'm going to buy here. I have to literally risk 50% of my capital, right? 8.5, 50% of that takes you to 4.25. Notice that low is 478. So that means Joe Sixpack, risk manager. I risk 50% of my capital. So that means I'm going to come in and buy that breakout there. And I'm going to risk to a break of the lows. And what I really want to see is I want to see 50% of this entire range. So we go back to our weekly charts. Remember, we said 50% levels all the way up there. If you did this big weekly W breakout buy investor, all right, Joe Sixpack, I'm okay with that. But that means you got to hold on and don't do anything on this thing until either your stop is blown out or we start seeing profit objectives up there at the 50% level. So something along those lines produces a 5-to-1 risk reward. That's how you get rich in this market, right? Let half of it go at that profit objective. It might take a year or two to work its way up there. And then if you can get that fill, then and this thing just keeps going, it's Lambo Central. So that's what I see on this link trade idea right now. And it looks good. But I don't like the idea of somebody coming in here not knowing what they're doing in the market and just buying this level and then having to see this market, sort of erode its way all the way back to things like trend lines. Maybe the next sort of swing trade comes in like something like that. And that means that you've got to basically be able to handle like a 50% drawdown on your capital. And a lot of new people to trading can't handle that kind of movement. So what is that? Yeah, that would be like a 20-30% drop to wait for the next sort of trader level, right? And what's the trader levels, right? Maybe think reload zones. So if we just put on a reload zone, I'm thinking it's probably a revisit of these lows down here. So if you wanted to trade this thing, that's probably what you have to wait for. So that's, yeah. And there's Brian's favorite fib, 582. So believe it or not, I mean, I know it sounds crazy, but actually I wouldn't mind actually just being patient and just waiting for this thing to come back down into this window here to looking for my next sort of, all right, I want to trade and sneak my way in off the bottom. You just can't go and chase here. And in fact, actually, look at this. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to come up into this level. It's a 4669. Stall out here and then start our correction process. And, you can see the W down in here. When the W's come in, they're pretty plain as day. But that's all you have to wait for if you really want to try and time your purchases. As I said, Joe Sixpack, if I was running a book of business as a broker and I had a whole bunch of Joe Sixpacks, I would definitely be sending this out in the email. Of course, you can't see it, but if I go remove all drawings, right, and saying, all right, we got a weekly double bottom. You can see the cup and handle here. You want me to throw in a bid at the breakout level and any kind of pullback, and we're going to risk the entire formation. But that's not a margin trade. That's not a leverage trade. That's not a futures trade. That's not a perpetual whatever trade. If you were in on this thing on the trade here, you're laughing, and you're actually getting ready to ring the register. If you were swing trading that and that little bot setup, you're already ringing the register. So suppose finish off. Did we have any questions that popped out on the document here today? I do give everybody the opportunity on these broiler chicken shows to do a AMA kind of thing, especially for the current education program, the students in the program. Yeah, interesting. Not seeing many questions these days. Even site members, you're more than welcome to ask questions. So, I don't know. Either we're just so good at educating you, you're like, Brian, you teach us everything. Everything's awesome. Or, which is great. Everything's awesome. Or I'm doing something terribly wrong here, and I'm just not getting, like, we just don't have that many people who watch these videos, and I'm just not getting that much interaction with you guys. I don't know which it is. I honestly don't know. Just try my best. I mean, just give me some feedback here. I mean, I got 4 or 5 of you to give me a like there on this video. Was what I just went through there, was that helpful for you people? Did anybody get any value out of all that rant and sort of talking levels and risk management? I know Nick, but you guys in the hangout, you're slightly biased. I want to know from the YouTube audience, these sort of looky-loo people. Am I heading in the right direction, or should I pull out my dick and just circle jerk for an hour or two? Where Bitcoin's going to 500,000. We're all gonna get rich. I don't know. Yeah, man, that's a good point. Public's probably still not that interested in crypto. And I got to tell you, you know what is, and thank you very much, eTarget. I like that kind of comment. That's good to hear. But I tell you, we're getting serious about investing serious monies into crypto. Absolutely. This is the time to get serious. Eddie went and bought a couple names for me. And, names that we actually came out of that meeting and we're like, fuck, we got to buy this damn thing. So, CZ is fucking, that guy's like made of Teflon. And if you ever see his hair and his head, not his hair, but his head, I mean, he's got more brains than probably 2 or 3 of my heads put together. But this is one that we're very interested in picking a bit up on. I bought some in here. Didn't take any profits on this pop. I suppose hindsight 2020, I should have. But in fact, actually, I asked Eddie to go buy a bit more of this for me. I definitely like the look of this guy down here. Super, super cheap. Could it work its way a bit lower here? Sure, can do any old damn thing it wants. But what was really interesting about this one is it has come like right back down. Yeah. So you can see there's the lows from 2020. Wicks and tails like to be eaten. Clearly, whenever this thing gets down into this neighborhood, somebody steps up and starts doing some serious buying. So I definitely want to pick some more of this out. And I mean, that's like the absolute classic buying when they're crying, right? They're throwing the baby out with the bathwater on this thing. So I definitely love buying stuff like that. And then the other one that we picked up was what the hell was it? That. Oh yeah, basic attention. This is the Brave browser, and you notice that I use Brave browser. You'd think I'd be making money off of these damn things. Mind you, I don't really watch any ads or anything like that, but look at that chart. Son of a bitch. Sand. Yeah, I mean, we got tons. DMAC. I mean, if you are interested in little old lady strategy, we've been sitting like literally for the past 2 years doing almost nothing, just twiddling our thumbs. Did a little bit of buying last year, banged out a few winners. And that loom, I think the loom has come literally all the way right back down to the bottom. And don't be surprised if a lot of your names do this, but you can see the weekly W. Why would Brian get interested? And there's the end result. Kaboom! Sure hope you got some doubles off on that son of a bitch. Well, hopefully you can see the same sort of thing is happening on this guy. I don't know whether he is actually bottomed yet, but you can see if you zoom out on this thing, all we're doing is trying to identify assets that have come right back down against their old lows, and we are starting to accumulate. And the cool part about this is that this is the way capitalism works. Nothing ever changes in this game. It's kind of funny how they always spout out this time it's different. It's the same shit every single time. So we've gone through the flush out stage, and this is painful as hell to go through. And just to force yourself to sit there and do nothing and make comments about substitute drama teachers and what idiots they are and how they're destroying our society. And then you hear the Federal Reserve Board that for your money cycle, don't fight the Fed. So they happen to be going through their interest rate cranking higher. So we should be out of the market anyway. I told you that Crypto 100 show that we did. One of the guys that I originally did the show with back in this part of the market cycle, as soon as the market broke, he's like, Brian, you can see the M's are everywhere. You got that stupid idiot going on Saturday Night Live, shilling his dog money at 100x the bottom. This is not easy mode. This is hard mode. And I'm going to leave this shit alone until we actually get back into easy mode. And easy mode is when you start seeing this kind of action. This is easy mode, especially that right there. Take a screenshot of that, folks. Remember I had said earlier, if you can get W's within W's, and actually I was talking earlier about what do good shorts look like. Usually good shorts look like a big M within an M, right? So you get this little M right here, right? And then you get the bigger honking M here, market spot. Well, it's the exact opposite for good buys. So, here is the big W, but notice there's a cute little W within the big W. This is what you're looking for, folks. It's just as simple as that. So, I love looking at assets when they've brought them all the way right back down to the bottom and they're starting to threaten to put in W's. Oh my goodness, love that stuff. So, you saw the sushi, you see this basic attention. It's the same shit, different pile. And I want to be accumulating this stuff. I want to force myself to just come in. You saw a couple $100 purchases at a time, not really in any hurry. I did exactly the same thing on Link through here. So I'm already long this. And when we get up to 12, 13, 14, I'll be banging out doubles and all that nonsense. And this is the time when you got to actually get we used to have a lady on this site that was said it was kind of funny. Hopefully she's still around. She said, let's try and not swear so much, Brian, because we don't want you to be demonetized on YouTube and stuff. So do you have your skirt together? I don't know whether you have your skirt together or not. Look at this little one here. Look at him perking up. I mean, Jesus, stuff writes itself. So, I mean, let's remove all the drawings so you can see. What letter of the alphabet is that right down there? You can see it right off of that level right there. So breakout. Oh, look, there's more W's, more W's. And I don't know, you tell me. Has this thing got any room to move up here? Any? I think so. So pay attention, folks. I mean, and how ironic, if you go out into the public right now is barking how the only thing that's actually worth investing in and taking a shot on is Bitcoin. And ironically enough, from the weekly commodity trend survey perspective, which is part of our subscription package, the Pro dashboard, we're calling it. I think we're calling it Pro package. But weekly commodity trend survey, that's what this is. And I used to run this when I used to be an old commodities broker. Interestingly enough, the only buy signal right now in the commodities market happens to be the natural gas market. which I really like. As I said, if we are threatening to roll over into recession, natural gas usually does pretty well, and that's exactly the type of chart I want to be interested in. That looks exactly like all the shit coins, right? And you got to force yourself to buy when other people are not interested. And then, of course, when they are interested and they're doing stupid things like making videos about how much money there is to be made in crypto, that's when you got to avoid this shit like the plague. And the interesting thing is, we do it in the stock market too. So these are crypto miners. And it's interesting how I had pointed out last winter, buy when it snows, sell when it goes. And then if you just step in and buy the bottom ends of ranges after W's come in, you can sell halves on doubles, get yourself risk-free trades. And of the four stocks that I had mentioned here, ironically enough, the only one that hasn't performed is Novogratz, of all people too. He's actually pretty well respected in the space. But I think he's still hip deep in that Luna story. And actually, one thing I did notice was things like deviant factions, if you know what that is. That was on the Luna blockchain, and Stuart said that the network is still alive. I think Julian went and bought a whole bunch of those NFTs, so I think he's still sitting on them. But anyway, that's here nor there. But the point is that Novogratz he hasn't actually performed yet. All the other crypto stocks kind of have, but Novogratz is still sitting in the penalty box. It actually be interesting just to see what his stock looks like. Also, too, he's the only guy and he wants to be listed down in the States, but he's still just listed in Canada. My hunch is if he was listed down in the States, you probably would have seen this thing perform. But you tell me, 61.8 reload zones. Is this not a bad area for us to consider accumulating some of this guy? Look at where the old high was. Is there any money to be made on this thing going forward? Stuff writes itself, folks. The good part about it is I think I have a pretty good handle on what the rules of the game are. You just got to force yourself to follow the rules. And if you want, of course, we've got Black Friday deals coming up here. So we'll leave off the video here today. You can always sign up for this newsletter for free. It's got this tiny URL. But, I would highly encourage you, if you don't know what you're doing in the market, for heaven's sakes, just get into the school program. I don't overthink this stuff. The prices that we charge for this education program are ridiculous. So whether it be joining the school, we'll give you, I think, about a 10-20% discount for the Black Friday deal coming up here in November. Or now we actually have a whole suite of products, including the breadth indicator. I mean, you see the chart here. A picture says 1,000 words. I mean, there was the buy signal, and what's so cool is you look at the actual chart from the buy signal, and man, that's incredible. So this shit, it's just beautiful. I think there's so many reasons to join TRI, whether it be the community, whether it be the actual signaling systems that we have in place, whether it be the education program to teach you how to actually risk money appropriately in the marketplace, whether it be our crypto universe, our top 30, and our signaling system of what you should be paying attention to and maybe what you should maybe not be maybe avoiding. There's no way I can justify somebody coming in and buying Bitcoin right here. I could maybe justify a trade in Bitcoin. But if anything, I got to probably wait for the next signal to come in here, because this thing, it's just gone ape shit. And usually when you go ape shit like this, we need a bit of pause. In fact, actually, you can even see the swing signals. The best part about this algo, and I should shut the hell up, I got to hit the road here with Liam, but I'll just finish off. The purpose of the algo is just to make sure that you are always on the right side of the market. Now, maybe that's here, right? And you're short, and then the market turns back up. Okay, I've got to get out of sort of my bearish leanings, and I've got to get back into bullish leanings. Whatever. The point is that the algo always has you on the right side of the market. And that will save you a lot of money down the road. You don't get caught being on the wrong side of the market. And then every once in a while, just being on the right side of the market, you get handed an absolute gift of a huge profit. All right, I think I'm going to leave the ramble at that for today. If there are any questions, please, for people that are on the site, we have both the daily brief request room. Here, you can post your question. There's our level 2 instructor, Marat, posting, probably answering questions in there. We do first 2 weeks of the quarter study, sector rotation kind of stuff in the stock market. And then also too, the students, level 1, 2, and 3, even level 4 for that matter. If you have a question, be sure to post it in the AMA document. I'd be more than happy on the Monday after party show to go through those questions. Okay, I think we'll leave it at that. Slow and steady wins the race, PMA for the win. If you heard any value in this broadcast, please give us a like, maybe tell a friend, and all those kind of fun things. Wish me luck with Liam on the road this afternoon. I will finish with all of you and then go off and do my real job. So slow and steady wins the race. Don't take no wooden nickels. Remember what your number one job is. We'll see everybody in the market first thing tomorrow morning. All the best and bye for now.